Welcome to the Marriage is a Mirror podcast powered by Reverence Restored. This isn't a podcast about perfect marriages. It's about what marriage reveals, our strengths, our blind spots, our wounds, and our potential to grow. Some of us are married, some of us have been through a divorce, and others are still waiting for the perfect season. But here's what's true. All of us have been shaped by relationships. Here, we don't hide from that reflection, we learn from it. Let's get into today's conversation. Welcome to the Reverence Restored podcast. Today we are joined by Matt Jackson, man, one of my closest friends. Thanks for being here, Matt.
Absolutely. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, it is, man. We've talked about this a lot. I'm so glad that you're here. Matt's been on before, but he was with his wife. And in season 3 of these podcasts, we're really kind of trying to hone in on the conversation with men, because we know, man, from our past, like if a man can lead his home right, it can change his family. And so often we think that leadership only takes place in the marketplace, or where the places outside of the home. Like,
Right.
if happy wife, happy life. And it's actually the opposite of that, man. If we can get our life right, then our wife starts to become the one that can be our biggest cheerleader. So, Matt, quick question for you, man, before we do an intro. Like, so many men think that leadership is only for the marketplace. Share with us, like, what does leadership mean for you within the home?
Well, to answer the question, Kevin, I have to go back to what leadership didn't look like in the home. Like I never considered the question. I never asked myself the question of am I leading well in my home? The question was always, am I bringing enough money? Am I getting the yard done? Am I living up to, maybe not living up to my expectations of my wife, but am I, I didn't consider leadership as something I needed to do in the home.
Yep.
It wasn't even a thought. So I always felt like I led well, whether I was working for an organization here in Omaha that I worked for about a decade, or running my own business. It was all about me, and April was alongside me in some of those businesses, but I never considered, am I leading well in the home? Whether it be her or leading well as a father. Didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
I almost thought about it different, KB, in that I wasn't leading well, but I expected both my wife and my girls to respect me, but I wasn't doing the things I know now, right? Eyes have been opened up.
Yep.
I wasn't doing the things I needed to do to be respected and really submitted to. So yeah, I never really even considered it, Kevin, which is really unfortunate. When 15 years of marriage without even considering what that looked like in the home.
Yeah, man, that's so good. You threw the word submitted in there right away. So many of our female listeners are now like, oh man, it's another one of these podcasts. Like, you're going to tell me I've got to submit to my husband. And we'll probably talk about that a little bit, because the short answer to that is like, no, man, if he's not submitted to Christ, then no, man, like, don't. In fact, love on him, encourage him. Let your actions speak louder, so that you can be the one that's potentially leading him to Christ, to be submitted to Christ first. So
yeah, pray.
So good, Matt. Quick intro. Go ahead.
Pray that he gets surrounded by some men that'll call him out and call him higher. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So Matt Jackson, quick intro here. Matt Jackson, one of my closest friends, man. We got to do life together in pretty much all of 2018. What was the phrase we used, man? Fall down, get up, right, Matt?
Fall down, get up. Life was like a big burpee for like a year.
Yep. We were training together. We were getting spiritually swole. We were getting physically swole, and just helping each other through a season of life, man, that neither one of us expected us to be in when we started out, man. We'll get into the past a little bit here, but Matt also is works in the mental health space. Works for integrative psychiatry, and then is also our campus pastor at Love Church. So 2 spots that you never would have expected to see Matt Jackson in his later years of life, but God's got a really special way of pulling us into his calling for us when we submit to him.
Yeah, I feel like you just called me old later years in life, but
dude, we're getting there, man. I know we're getting there. Yeah.
Never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing, but it's not anything I did. It was me surrendering and then allowing him to say, hey, here's where I'm going to take you and what you're actually called to do. So it's been fun to look back and go, how did I get here?
Yeah, exactly, man. It's so true. Let's pray before we jump in, and then let's jump into it. Cool.
Yeah. Send it.
Yeah. Father God, we come before you. We just thank you for this time. Man, we know what you've done in our lives, and we want this to be a blessing for so many others. We know that there's men out there that are struggling, man. They're struggling with where they're at mentally, where they're at spiritually, where they're at physically, where they're at emotionally. And God, we know that you are the only one that can bring us peace in all of those areas. And so it sometimes can be so hard to surrender because we want to control the outcomes. But just as Matt was saying early on, man, it's step by step. And every time we take that next step, one step closer to you, God, it gets easier to surrender everything to you because we've seen the way that you show up. So we pray that this conversation blesses a ton of people, even if it's just one, even if one person makes a decision to say, man, I want to lead like that, it's worth it. So bless our time together. We want to honor you. Please forgive us in advance of anything that we say that doesn't align with your heart. And we just want this to be a blessing to so many, but God, we want it most importantly to be a blessing to you. So we're going to trust this time to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Leadership, Matt, like you're one of the most disciplined people that I know in all areas of life. And you have been for a really long time. Even when you weren't walking with Jesus, there was a tremendous amount of discipline. And oftentimes leaders think leadership is discipline. Help me understand, help the listeners understand how your discipline shaped you as a leader back then and what it's done for you as you've started to move forward in really God's calling for your life.
Yeah. It's funny. One of the last people I texted before we jumped on here, Kevin, was my dad. And I saw I saw discipline modeled from a very young age. Not only then, but my dad's 72, 73. I can't remember, and you know him, but he's the most disciplined person I know. He does like, I've tried to look at him and go, what's made him successful over time in all areas, right? He's a faith-filled man. He's surrendered to the Lord. He's owned a business for, I don't know how many years. And then his health, his physical health, he has been disciplined in all those different areas. And I admire it. I look up to it. So even before, I was surrendered to the Lord, I was a very disciplined person. And I feel like, and the business I was in, Kevin, it was coaching people through bodybuilding and weight loss and health and nutrition. Well, that takes a ton of discipline. And so when it comes to implementing discipline into leadership, I realize faith and fitness are very much correlated. When it comes to, what do we say? It can be like when you start your fitness or faith journey, it can be hard. It can be drudgery, and then it turns into a discipline. And then, man, hopefully through process, it can become a delight. And I've seen those happen in both my life when it comes to my fitness. And then I realized when I came to Christ in 2018, man, I have some good rhythms put in place and some good disciplines to help me grow in this area when it comes to my faith. When it comes to leadership, I think the thing that I've done, like, I'm not the smartest, I'm not the most talented, but I can work really hard, really, really hard. And when you're disciplined and consistent, I think it's easy for people to then follow because they know what to expect. Like, what you're going to get from me. I'm pretty open book. But I do almost the same thing every single day. And I think that helps the people that have said yes to different areas of leadership that I oversee. Like, they know what to expect. Yeah. They know I'm probably going to text them early in the morning and ask some different questions and things like that. But it's a consistency that's really, really, I think, helped me from a leadership perspective outside the home. And then I had to realize, okay, the same thing can apply inside the home. If my wife knows what to expect, if I'm not an emotional roller coaster, which sometimes I am, but if she knows what to expect, I think it's easier for her to gauge what I might need from her in different moments, right?
Yeah. Maybe now more than ever, like we've come to this spot. Let's back up a little bit. Let's share just the fast version of your testimony of kind of what happened, because it's super impactful. And I know that it's a reason why you're in the space that you're in today. And I think it'll be really beneficial for anybody that hasn't heard your story or any new listeners to really hear, man, you were at rock bottom, making a very tough decision on life or death.
Yeah.
And that's such a powerful story. And I know, man, in today's world, there's so many people that find themselves in that same spot. So I want them to hear that, but then I'm excited to talk about where you're at today.
Yeah. Elevator speech of kind of my life leading up to now. But man, in 2018, there was infidelity in my marriage, and it was on me. And so I didn't think I could ever come out of that. Even if April were to forgive me, I was living with so much shame, guilt, and regret. There was a point where I had let's see, phone in left hand, gun in right hand. I'm thinking, I don't know if I can continue to go on. It was hard to leave the house because of that shame and guilt. And even at that time, I know I knew April had forgiven me because we had both come to Christ, but I still could not get over this fact of I think I've done too much to even keep going. And in that moment, no, we had not come to Christ.
No.
Let me go back. Yeah, no, you're right. But I knew we were working on something. We were still living in the same home, right? But in that moment, I realized, holy cow, I need to put the gun down. And I immediately called, our lead pastor,
Yep.
PT Todd, and we met shortly after that, and at his office, and he just shared really biblical marriage, what it looks like, and what forgiveness looks like. Shared the gospel. I was ready because at that moment I knew I wanted to live. I didn't want to take my life, and I just thank God every day. And then shortly after that, April softened. We both started walking with the Lord, and it has been that first 6 months after that, I'd say the rest of 2018 was some of the most difficult weeks, days, and months. But man, I look back, I would not trade that for anything. Like when
Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah, when we look back and think, it, it- I don't think either of us would trade that because it's gotten us to really understand and help people through that as well. Or it's easy to help somebody, or I think they're more receptive when we're talking about marriage and even infidelity or things like that. They know we've been through it, and we can help speak into those things. But yeah, my mental health was awful. I don't know if you can get much lower than where I was, KB.
Yeah. I
And so,
remember, man.
well,
I
yeah, I
remember it.
remember when I called you. I was waiting in line to pick up my daughter from school, and I thought, man, I think there's hope if this guy would just answer the phone. And you were on a work bit on a on
Yep.
a on a plane flying back from who knows where. And I remember you called him like, oh, okay, somebody's gonna listen, and he's been through this, and he understands, and I respect him. And we kind of knew who each other were from our college days, but never had really connected.
Quick mirror check. If this episode is hitting, please don't just listen. Follow the show, leave a review, and send this to one person who needs to hear it as much as you do. Back to the show.
But I just remember, okay, I'm talking to Kevin, and I know April's going to be talking to Bree. Maybe there's hope.
Yep.
But yeah, that was why I thought, okay, if I can do that for other people, whether it's couples or if I can, I always loved helping people.
Yep.
That's why I loved my nutrition business, my coaching business. And then, we can, fast forward to what I'm doing now, but that was a really, really hard year. 2018 really
Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say that year, because at what point did you make the decision to get into the industry of helping people in the mental health space? When did you decide to go pursue a new career,
Yeah.
education and career?
Yeah, I got accepted to Grand Canyon University in March. I remember we were in Florida on spring break. In March of 19, they called, the girls were shopping, and I got in the car, and it was the counselor from the guidance counselor from GCU saying that I got accepted, and I started in April of that year.
Okay.
And it took me 4 years to complete that graduate degree because I still was working, really working full time for the church.
Yep.
So trying to juggle everything. And so, yeah, it took me 4 years, but I remember in that, I can take you to the spot where I got accepted to Grand Canyon.
Yep. That's awesome, man. And now you're helping a ton of
It
people.
was April's dream. She sat up in bed and said, I think you're going to go back to school. I'm like, what? I was a 2.9 student undergrad. I don't like school. But man, I really enjoyed learning through my master's program. I graduated with a 4.0, and I'm a moron. So I have this passion to help people. I love sitting down and hearing stories and then putting together a plan that like get them on a better trajectory. I
Yeah.
absolutely enjoy what I do.
Go back to school. I would have had to gone to school the first time when I was there in order to go back to school. That's the way I'd be thinking about that.
Online helps. It does.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, man, when we like, I would say with your discipline and where you're at now, it's like, once we know our calling, we can be hyper focused on that thing and get those done. And I think that's such a great leadership skill, but every strength has a backside weakness, and it's all about what we're hyper focused on. So as you've started to grow in your leadership within the home, what are some of the areas that you think of, that you specifically and that other men struggle with on when it comes to being hyper focused on something? I mean, you and I have had this conversation. I'm a toggle switch, man. When the
Yeah.
switch is on, like I'm all in. But if I flip that thing off and I don't want anything to do with it, I'm done, man. I'm checking out. I can push that person off. I can push that thing off. And it's just like out of sight, out of mind, man. But when I'm focused on something, hyper focused on it, everything changes for me, man. And I can go all in. So for you, what does it look like for your leadership to be hyper focused on your marriage?
It's a real, I couldn't put to words what I attempted and tried to do when I would come home from work. Like over the last probably 6 months, it's kind of taken its hold. And you and I have talked about this briefly offline, but what I realized to say what I want to focus on, Kevin, I have to talk about what I sucked at.
Yep.
I would try to multitask. I would be on my phone responding to a Slack message or text message or email, and April's trying to have a conversation with me. And we've maybe been apart all day. And what I realized about 6 months ago is I really need to be intentional on what is important to me right now in this moment. Guess what? That email is going to be there in an hour or two, or even tomorrow. And that person can wait, because what April needs from me right now is just, I need to be a husband and a father. And I'm not going to know what she wants if I'm not listening. And it sounds like that's a really easy, basic concept, right? It really is like, oh yeah, be present, but we're not, because these devices, which are amazing, can create a ton of distraction.
Yeah.
And we think we're present with the person. However, we're checking our social media and we're on, talking to our coworkers. Like, that has to stop. So I really went from, instead of switches, I had to figure out these like dials.
Yeah.
And I saw this on a podcast. He's a guy that, I mentioned his name. DJ Shipley is his name.
Yep.
I listened to this podcast like 6 months or a year ago. And I'm like, this guy's onto something here. If I can, understand in the moment what I need to be focused on and what needs to be turned off, then I can really be present in the moment. So when I'm at the clinic, I've told April, if I don't respond to you, it's because I'm not focused on that right now. I have to give this person my time and attention. Otherwise, I'm doing them a disservice. I'm not leading them well. But guess what? When I get home, I'm going to focus on you. And I really sucked at that for a long time, Kevin, because my identity became my business. My business became my identity. The previous business I had, the nutrition coaching business, it was, the acronym was named after me. It became my name. And I realized that was a huge, huge mistake I made trying to lead my family before Christ.
That sounds like, I love, like, you and I on this side of it can totally relate to that. Talk a little bit about what it looks like for you to have that very practical conversation with your bride, with April, about, okay, I've got to have some delineation in what I'm doing. This is where I'm optimized the most. Doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about you, but when I'm focused on this, I want to be present here just like I do with you. Talk about what that conversation looks like with your bride, because I can imagine there's so many people that are going to hear this and they're like, bro, if I tell my wife, like, hey, I'm busy at work, she's like, and you think I'm not?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm taking care of kids and I've got a question about, hey, can I buy this? Should I do that? Like, or I've got a job here. And like, I'm trying to figure out my schedule too. What makes you better than me that you get to put me off to the side, but I don't ever get to put this stuff off to the side. So maybe just talk about what that conversation looks like and how you've been able to navigate that in a healthy way. Because we say it this way, man, every marriage is going to be faced with challenges. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to allow those to develop you or divide you.
Yeah. But there's probably 3 bullet points, because April and I do work together still on the church side. And so there'll be times when I'll get home. Here's an example of how I have to do it the other way. I have to manage her out of kind of work, manage us out of work. She'll bring up something from like church related, and I'll look at her and I'll go, dials down. Like, we're not doing that right now. Well, that's not a discussion I want to have right now, because 1, we've not seen each other all day. I have maybe said to you, hey, I can't focus on what you're asking me right now if it's personal, because I'm going from one client to the next, and I need to focus on that. So I love you. I will get back to you in the next couple of hours.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to recognize what we've established. We don't get it right all the time. Like, that's what I think people do need to hear is we still suck quite often. We'll get caught up in a conversation and realize, should we be paused? Should we be talking about this? So from that, it takes a ton of humility, both on my side and probably more hers, to understand the reasons I'm communicating what I am in those moments. Meaning, I know she's proud of me for what I do at work. And for her to understand when I say, honey, I can't answer your question, or I don't even respond to her text messages, she's not thinking in her head, he's not worried about me, he's not listening to me. It's okay. I know the expectation because he's back to back to back for 4 or 5 hours. It's not about me right now.
Yeah.
He's not ignoring me. He's just focused on this other thing. But then it's important when I get home or when I'm driving home and there's something that's there. Well, guess what? Everything else is off the table, and I'm just, what do you need from me right now?
Yep.
And so we kind of make up lost time during the day by very intentional conversations. And again, doesn't happen every night. Sometimes we both suck at it because we're tired, and maybe we do want to zone out on our phones. But I think at some point you have to regroup and go, hey, there was something that came up earlier. Do you have full conclusion to that? Do you have closure on that topic? If not, what needs to be discussed?
Yep.
So I think it's not so much it's expectations. Have we set clear expectations on what the day is going to look like? And hey, and that can be different. If she knows I have breaks during the day, then I'll say, hey, had a cancellation. Saw you texted something with, one of our daughters. You good there? And then I'll say, hey, I got 2 more to go. I'll see you at 5:30. So it's just like communication and clarity, I think, are really important. Expectations. What do you got going on for the day? What can I expect from you for the day? And we have to be okay with that.
Yep. Yeah, and it's taking you guys some time to get there, right? Like,
Well,
that's one of the
years.
things that here you are. It's been I guess it's been 7 or 8 years now for you. You're at this spot today. This dial wasn't even one that you could activate until you built some foundational principles over here to say, okay, hey, like, this isn't going to work long term where we're at right now, but it's okay for the season we're in. But as we continue to grow and let these be things that develop us, not divide us, let's start to get more clear about what the framework's going to look like for us to be able to operate so that we can optimize our days.
What you said, these are developed to what would you say?
To develop us, not divide us.
Yes, 100%. And I think when both people can come to that, neither one person is ignoring the other, but we do have things that we have to manage during the day, and that's okay. That's called life. We're all living in it. But again, the humility to go, hey, I know the expectation. There's nobody ignoring anybody. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
And I know later on, there's going to be full attention to one another. But yeah, still don't get it right all the time. And this has really, really developed, Kevin, like I said, over the past 6 months, and it has really helped us alleviate any of the, bedtime conversations of, well, what about you? And like, let's not point fingers. So it's really, really helped us the last 6 or so months, at least for me, to know that I'm still serving her and the girls well when I am working quite a bit of hours.
Yeah, that's good. Let me ask this question because I think it's so key. How do you allow your wife to call out blind spots in your leadership? And I say allow because that's the word that comes to me. So if you hear that, don't think like I have to give permission. I'm just using that as language. How do you specifically say to your bride, to April, hey, April, I want you to point out blind spots that you see in my leadership so that we can get better together?
Well, who better?
Yeah.
Who better to do that? If we aren't open to, like, I can ask you, but you're not around me every day. We don't see each other every day. So who better to ask that question to? But I think it can be, as men, we have egos and we have a lot of pride and like, well, you can't tell me. No, just like we talked about, we have to be open to feedback and not take it as criticism. And the convenient thing for me, and I'll say this, and there's no denying it, April is smarter than I am. Her social awareness is off the charts. She is, I don't even know what her IQ is, but she is smarter than I am. I want her feedback. Now I know that. I I I I sucked at it before. It's just I want her feedback because she does point out blind spots really, 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 really well with a ton of tact. Whereas before, again, this is like 2018 and before, I would have taken it as attack, and I don't think the delivery would have been like it is now. So it comes with humility and not going, well, that's she doesn't know. Well, she probably does.
It's one of those things, man. It's so hard to navigate this, and it's in our coaching. This is honestly where we oftentimes just kind of hit this roadblock of like, I believe that, call it 90, 95% of the world has good intentions, but oftentimes whatever our intention is, we struggle to communicate that in a way that's going to move the other person to action that's going to be received well.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we do that in marriage? How do we get the junk out of the way to say, like, my intention is good? I know for Bree and I, like, I'm a very passionate person, as you know. Like, once I get going, man, it's like, dude, let's go. Like, we're like, I'm an activator. We're moving, an achiever. Let's go. So it's like, once the idea has been baked and it's time to move, let's move. But Bree isn't. And as soon one of the jokes we have is like, did you guys lose your sense of urgency today?
Yeah.
My wife could be late to everything, and that's just who she is, man. She's just, time is not her thing, but navigating that can be so challenging for us at times. And it's just like, I've got to learn to communicate in her language, whatever my intent is, because my intent is good, but I've got to learn how to use that right tone. For you guys, like, how have you seen that being able to grow in this space in your marriage? Then how have you seen the ripple effect in your leadership in other places, the workplace, ministry, all of the people that you're ministering to and helping and walking with? How have you seen what you've learned to excel in at the home start to play out in other areas of your life?
Can I be honest and say it actually works the opposite way?
Yeah.
I'm a slow, like, there's two things that come to mind. You said, how do you, as you were talking, I think about it. If you have a coworker or somebody that works for you or a boss at work, I think we probably assume the best of people. We assume the best of intentions. I don't know if that always happens in our marriage, which is really unfortunate. It should be the complete opposite. And I think for me is, and something April said, could we just in every scenario assume the best in one another?
Yep.
If we do that, we remove a lot of the stupid little arguments. But on the flip side, I think for me, something I am realizing is I will oftentimes take what I'm learning outside of here and I implement it second here, which it should be like, why am I so dense that it takes me like, oh, I can apply that at home too? Duh. So I think that's something I'm still learning, how I communicate with, the teams that have the opportunity to oversee at church. I'm like, wait a minute, if I'm communicating expectations or clarity or heck, a documentation on what things look like, why am I not doing that in my home? Great example just happened yesterday. We've got Christmas coming up, right? I don't know when this is going to go out, but we're in the holiday season and we've got 4 encounters at our church. So I put together a team guide. So everybody that's serving, right, understands the playbook and here's what we're doing. Here's expectations. Here's when to get here, all these things. I thought to myself, I don't have a playbook yet for April and I for 2026. Why don't I? So yesterday I created one, came up with it, and we're going to sit down. We've done this in the past, but really, really structure and manage clear expectations from a faith, finance, and fitness perspective. Those are kind of the 3 categories. But that was I've too often, KB, done it backwards, where I take what I'm doing outside of the home and implement here, which if I would start here and then implement out, it might be a better strategy.
No, I think it does go both ways, man, especially for high level leaders. Like, that's one of the things that our coaching framework is really built on, this because of the background where I come from of being in corporate America and building businesses. And it's like, why, one of the questions that we hear so often, and I'm sure you do too, is why can I lead so well in the marketplace, but yet I suck so bad at being a husband?
Emotions.
Yeah. Emotions. And also what's motivating us. It's like, at work, it's the paycheck. It's the things that the world tells us, like, I've got to have a bigger bank account. I've got to get the promotion. I've got to build these teams. Everybody's relying on me. And if I don't do it, then who's going to do it? And it's like, okay, that becomes our motivation. And that's really that high level pressure that's over time, man. I don't care for almost everybody that I've ever worked with or spoken with. Once we kind of start hitting a little bit of a later age, it's like, man, I don't want that pressure anymore. That worked when I was in my 20s and 30s, early 40s. But at this stage in my life, it's like, man, I'm trying to remove as much pressure as I can and just make things flow a lot smoother in the areas of my life. And then when we think about it at home, it's like we've got these skills and every strength has a backside weakness. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard, don't treat me like one of your employees. I'm like, "Ah, dang, you're right. But what, my employees do what I ask them to do and you don't." So like if I say, hey, meeting starts at 5, hey, meeting starts at 5, not 5:15, like that's a problem. But how do we take what we're good at and then start applying it into the home? That's just what I heard from you of like, man, I know how to build SOPs. I know how to be disciplined in this space. If it works here, why can't I replicate it in the thing that matters most, which is my marriage and my leadership at home?
Yeah. And then when you build this trust, like over time, I know if I would have said, we're going to do this, even, after 2018, I think this is really, we're primed for it right now. Cause there's a trust that's been built up because, April is seen, again, kind of getting into that, the submission part, right? There's a trust that April's built up in me to be able to go, I will take that meeting with my husband because I trust his plan. I trust what he's putting in front of us is going to create better rhythms, is going to create a better communication between the two of us and alignment in what 2026 is going to look like. So I feel like, over time that trust is built where she'll go, yeah, let's do that. I trust you. I want to hear what you have to say. And then of course, again, she is smarter. So she'll go, what did you think about this? Or could we do it a different way? And I'm like, absolutely. Let's go. But for everything that I'm good at, everything that I'm not good at, she's good at everything that, and vice versa. So structure and discipline, not great for her. So there needs to be, like she even said it, I need to get better and have some accountability.
Yeah.
And so it's just, but again, it goes back to trust and humility. She's got to be able to receive feedback. I have to be able to receive feedback, but the emotion tied to it is the hard part. If a coworker or somebody comes to you, Kevin, there's no emotion because guess what? You don't have to go to bed with them later. You got to go to bed with Bree later.
Yeah.
So there's an emotion tied to it that can manage our actions and reactions. We have to be able to go, hold on. I need to not base my next sentence or action off this emotion because it's probably not real. It's probably something that's being made up and I need to go pause. How would I manage this outside of the home so I can impact the inside the home better without any emotions creating a negative impact with my wife.
Yep. That's so good. I mean, think about like, okay, what leadership habits change because of our growth at home? And I would say that's for me, what you're describing is that for me, I learned how to, because you're really kind of starting to talk about a little bit of conflict resolution strategies, right? Like, okay, the reason that conflict hits level 10 is because emotions get high. So how do we control emotions in those moments? Be like, man, I don't want this to hit a level 10. We've been here before. It sucks every time we're there. It just turns into a knockdown, drag out fight. We end up saying things that we're going to regret, doing things that we're going to regret, falling back into old patterns where we've been there before. And in worst case scenarios, like sleeping, that's probably not even worst case scenario. That's worst case scenario for a guy like you and I now, but sleeping in separate spots within the home, which over time becomes, okay, let's just separate, which over time becomes, hey, we might as well be divorced. Yeah. Because we suck at this, all because of something that happened way back over here that could have been mitigated had we not let emotions get out of control in that space.
Yep.
So
it's hard to do. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, no, go ahead. If you've got something you want to elaborate on that, do it.
No, it is really hard to do because I don't think we realize, or we should realize more that marriage is the most important earthly relationship we have.
Yep.
But for the longest time, did you and I treat it that way? I'm lumping you into this with me.
Yep.
We didn't. I took it for granted. And now it's like, man, this is not to be sweet, but I thought going into December, like we're not big Christmas gift givers. We're just not, we never have been. But I thought, what can I do that will be something kind of cool that she knows I'm grateful every day? So I'm doing just little handwritten notes every day in December. And I think that means more to her than a ring or jewelry. She doesn't like, that's not her thing. Words of affirmation are important. And for the longest time, I think I took it for granted and I wasn't grateful. So every day in December, it's been kind of fun. She probably gets annoyed by it, but I don't know if she gets annoyed by it, but now she's got a stack of
Yeah.
notes. But I just think that's something I did not do well is gratitude
Yep.
um, for what she does every single day for us and the kids, for me and the kids.
Dude, like we do. I think so many of us, especially under a circumstance. I know April worked outside the home for an extended period of time and then has been home and now works outside the home a little bit again. Those seasons are tough to navigate. And I would say when one person is the primary breadwinner, oftentimes we take that other spouse for granted, expect
Mhm.
them to do some of these things that are like, hey, like I'm making money. I'm the one that's driving this ship right now. It's all about me, 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 me. You're the one that's supposed to be supporting me through this. And we forget that once we step into marriage, man, it's equal roles. Like the bank account, yeah, it matters, but it doesn't matter. Like if we lose everything and I have you, if we truly believe the vows that we said, like in sickness and health, till death do us part, man, for richer, for poorer,
Mm.
we're in this. But then the minute we step away from those vows, it's like, dude, like I need a new, I need clothes, I need food, I need all of these things. True, but inside the home, man, we've got to navigate this thing of being equal and working together as one team. Because if one of us loses, man, like really, we both lose. One of the things I always joke with is you never walk away from a fight being like, yes, I won. Like she feels miserable, man. She feels so bad about herself. I'm so glad. Like I hope. I'm sure there's some people that probably do. That's just like that's not healthy. And if you're feeling that, man, like come around somebody because you should not be. If your spouse is losing, you're losing as well.
So good.
From an overall leadership standpoint, like how do you protect your marriage in high demand seasons?
Hmm. Uh, I think there's probably two or three things. One, if I'm honest, I will say I do it well, but I enjoy I enjoy work, which is a good thing, but it's also like I might work too much. Like I don't always have a day off, and I think it's important to do that. I preach it, I talk about it, but I don't do it well. But in the seasons of high demand, um, understanding that even doing boring things with April is important. If we're just like we can sit on the couch, there's what shoulder to shoulder time, right?
Yep.
Just if we have looking at the week and realizing, okay, example, last night we didn't have anything going on outside of the home, so we could just be at home. Neither of us had a lot we wanted to do, so we're not doing anything really productive together, but we were able just to be there together and realize we're not going to go to it's not always we're going to go to a fancy dinner. Like we don't have to do something all the time. Trying to keep things more simple has helped us um, manage our relationship. I wouldn't say manage, continue our marriage and keeping it thriving in high stress, high demand seasons. Knowing that it doesn't have to be a big production. If we're just together, we're cool with that. Because as we get older, like you said, like simplicity is important for us.
Yeah.
Simplicity is important for us.
So
So
true.
there's times when we don't want to leave the house. And while we want to be social sometimes, it's beneficial for us just to be together, just the two of us. Because oftentimes it's not that's not available. So we are prioritizing just the two of us on a much more regular basis where we
Yeah.
don't always have to be doing stuff and going here, going there. It's like we're gonna say no, and that's gonna have to be okay.
Yep. Yeah. What does that look like for you guys? I mean, one of my favorite quotes is from John Maxwell. You've got to learn how to say no to the good so you can say yes to the best. What's that filter look like for you and April to navigate what you guys say no and what you say yes to? I mean, there's a lot of demands on you right now. What does that conversation look like for you guys?
Um, I don't even is it bad to say there's not much of a conversation? I think she is trusting me in this season to understand. like she invests in people on her side, like other ladies, other females, and I do that as a male, right? I had lunch with a couple people this week, and she did the same. But as a couple, we're really looking at it as um, being really intentional. And this is not the everybody's worth it. I want to make sure I say everybody's worth it, but we're having to say in this season, who are you asking us to maybe come alongside or just hang out with a little bit more, that may need a little bit of extra attention, or maybe they are starting they're new to Christ and their marriage is a little bit rocky. Okay, that's the person we maybe need to invest in a little bit. But I would say it's not much of a discussion. She said, "I trust you. If you want to hang out with him, cool." It's just kind of I think she's trusting me more, which um, yeah, I have to be okay with. I actually like the fact she's saying, if you say yes to it, we'll go.
That's cool. That's great that she's that supportive in that. I mean, I think that's one of the things you see as we start to talk about a little bit of submission. And maybe this is a great segue into that, to have a wife that's submitted to her husband. Talk about what it's taken for your wife to feel safe in that, and why it's so important for the man to make sure he's submitted to Christ first.
There you go. You hit it. I think um, over time, these layers of foundational trust have been built up, and it's not trust in me. I love a quote that our pastor's wife said. I don't trust my husband, but I trust Christ in my husband. And yeah.
So
So April before, I don't trust Matt. I trust the Lord in him. So I'm like, I can get down with that. For me, I feel, and I've said it to men, we have a job that is just harder. Our opportunity, our responsibility is of the utmost importance. If we want our wives, this is biblical, right? If we want our wives to submit to us, I think that's where we take that little, men can take that out of context and say, well, you should be submitted to me. Not unless you're following him.
right.
That's the only time we can have that expectation. And there are times, well, I'll admit, yeah, no, that was not I didn't filter that through the Holy Spirit lens. So why would I expect people to come alongside of that? I shouldn't. So it's not taken a long time, but I think the consistency, the discipline, I sit in this same exact spot every single morning, read through our daily reading, read through the Proverbs, I journal, and then I think in my head, this is just, I love to do this because discipleship is important to me too. Who's two or three people, three dudes that maybe just need an encouragement, or how can I pray for you today? And I think she's seen that over time. And I also help, men with addictions and things like that. And I've told her the only thing I was addicted to was me. So I need to kill my ego every single day. Drugs and alcohol, none of that. I was addicted to me.
Yep.
So one of the things I have to do every morning in an act of submission is, Lord, who do I need to reach out to today? Who may need just an encouragement word or a text, or they're going through something they don't want to open up about, and that may need just a quick touch point in prayer. So I think over time, she has seen that and that consistency through that to go, again, I can trust him when it comes to the best for this family, because it's not his own agenda. It's the Lord I'm connecting with God every day. And I try to do my best to submit to what he has every morning. Get me out of the way. What's the plan for today? What do we do? So I think she's seen that. And again, there's no perfection to any of this. It's always progress, always a process. But I think that's helped a ton, where she's seen it's not about me. Even the times when I feel like, man, I'm doing so great, I'm helping people. Like, who are we giving glory to? I don't want to give glory to me ever, because as a human, I suck. I would love for people to go, man, God's really working through you. I see it. Because without him, I'm without him, I'm just a wreck, like I was for many years, right?
So true, man. So true. We could fall back into that pattern so quickly. Matt, you've got such a pastor's heart, man. And I've known that about you for such a long time. You had mentioned earlier, like, you love to help people. And I think that's one of the first things that you can look for in truly a pastor's heart. And I'm not talking about a pastor's teaching from the stage. While I do think that you have that gift set at some point right now, I believe, like, you have a pastor's heart. You genuinely care for people. Have there been seasons where, describing what you just shared about reaching out and there's this desire to help everybody around you, have there been seasons where April's felt like she's on the back burner a little bit and she's like, "Hey, what about me?"
Honestly, I don't know. I should probably ask her.
Okay.
Um, I hope not, but there probably has been. Um, and that's wow, that's a great question. I have to ask her. I think she would have brought it to me.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to say no, but I'm not 100% sure, Kevin.
Yeah. No, that's fair, man. I mean, I think it's one of those things that, like, how do we do that? I know the reason I bring that up is because I've seen it in the workplace so often. I'm like, man, you're there for all of your employees. You're always available. Like, you can be in a meeting and when somebody calls and is like, "Hey, I've got a question about this," and you're ready to take it and you can answer it. You can solve those problems. But then when I have a question, you're like, "Hey, I'm busy." And so I've seen that in my own life, which is why I ask in yours. And I really think about, one of my favorite questions to consider always is like, how is my marriage impacting my leadership outside of my marriage? And that's the one that I always think about first is like, okay, does my wife feel like she's getting my best? Remember, like my framework that I coach men through is what I call the vital framework. And number one, who's giving me vision. Number two is who's getting my best. Number three, who's going to battle with me. Number four, will I be ready when it matters most? And number five, will my legacy last? Well, that number two of who's getting my best, man, I'm just honest. There's lots of days that I feel like I didn't give my wife my best and I gave everything else my best. And I've given her the freedom and the space to be like, call me out if you see that, please. So to your point, it's not a question I have to ask very often, but
Yeah.
it's the thing that I feel like the most, maybe guilt in the way that I operate throughout the day of just trying to get so much stuff done. And then I look back and I'm like, dang, dude, I kind of forgot about my wife today. I joke all the time that, like, when we first started our reconciliation journey, I had to put reminders in my phone to text my wife.
Yeah.
That's how dumb I am. Like, dude, at 10 a.m., text wife. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's right. You're married. Don't forget about that. Like, hey, babe, love you. Thinking about you. Anything you need from me. And then 2 o'clock. Hey, babe, love you. Thinking, she's like with Chat GPT right now, she'd be like, dude, are you Chat GPTing this thing? Because it's the same message every day. So
Maybe. To answer your question quickly, I feel like if April were to give me feedback, I don't think she would say I have neglected her because of other people. My daughters.
oh,
I would say, and this is, I don't think I'll be emotional about it, but 20-year-old and 13-year-old, if anybody has felt neglected, it's probably them.
yeah. Let's talk about parenting a little bit. As you and April, maybe let's back up a couple seasons here. As you guys started to put your marriage back on solid ground, what did it look like from a parenting standpoint? And then let's talk about progressionally of like how you've just become even a better father as your marriage has started to grow as well.
Depending on the day and which girl you ask, they may say I haven't grown.
Yeah.
Well, I think the one thing that's been consistent is my expectations are really high. I have expectations of myself, and maybe I put that on our oldest Mallory. Maybe I put that on her too much, but I take the blame because I didn't set her up when she was younger to be as successful. She's grown so much. Amazing kid. Amazing kid. But we didn't give her the parenting tools that she needed when she was younger. So April and I, failed her to lead when she was a young age, but we didn't know any better. We're doing the best we could. And then we realized, oh my gosh, she's now 13, 14. 12, 13 years old. In 2018, I'm like, crap, we did not give her all the tools she needed as a kid. And so trying to make up for lost time, she has grown exponentially. She's a phenomenal kid, but for anything that she lacks, that's my responsibility. I take responsibility for that because I wasn't doing my best as a dad when she was younger.
Yep.
Now Morgan is golly, she's going to be 14. And so, yeah, it's wild to think how old she is now, but just as we're intentional with our wives, like just being intentional with them as well. We ask a lot of questions as a therapist. I ask a lot of questions. As a pastor, I ask a lot of questions. I want to ask questions of both of my kids. How was your day? Hey, you had a presentation today. She had one yesterday and she was so stoked about it. When she left the house this morning, I said, hey, I want to know what you got on a grade, like for a grade, because in their world, that's the one thing that was really important to her yesterday. Well, if I don't mention it or bring it up, that's a fail. Like it's not about my day and what happened here. Morgan, tell me about your day. And sometimes you get it. It was fun. I don't want to talk. Get it. But when there, it's a baton thing, or because she does baton, or she had this presentation that she was really proud of, and it was about helping other people recognize issues in their lives. So she came up and like read it to me, and she said, how did I do, Dad? Did I do a good job? What do you think? If I don't ask her the next day, geez, I have failed. So just understanding how important their world is on a day-to-day basis and what they're going through, I think is how we get beyond the school was fine. Everything's fine. I'm just going to be on my iPad. So treating them more with that intentionality of what's happening in their world that we need to understand a little bit more of.
Yep. That's so good. When we were talking about dials earlier, one thing that Bree and I really work hard on is I've got green zones, I've got yellow zones, and I've got red zones.
Yeah.
Green zones are like when I'm the most optimized, when I'm on fire, when I'm the most creative, when I can really talk about almost anything and be cool with it. And our zones don't overlap very well. I'm a early morning, Bree's late at night.
Mhm.
And I love to just get into it first thing in the morning. I get through my devos, I get through my Bible time, I get through my prayer journal, and then all of a sudden I'm off and running, man. It's like go, 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 go. I go train in the middle of the day. I'm doing my work, all of those things. And Bree kind of ramps up more. Our curves just don't match. But I found this, man, the other day, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. My red zone is usually at about 9 p.m. is when it starts to really become a red zone for me. Like, hey, you can ask me yes and no questions, and that's really it. Unless we're going to have sex or we're going to eat, I'm out. Like those are the only two things that can become green once I'm in a red zone. But our son, who's 14, is really starting to become a man pretty fast here. I can't believe how fast it's happening. And I found the other night during a red zone, he loves to just chill with me at the last half hour of the day, man. Just like lay in my arms. We just sit there. We'll usually watch Sports Center, catch whatever game's on, something like that. And the other night, man, he just started asking me questions and telling me everything. And I felt in my heart, I wanted to just, or in my head, I should say, I wanted to be like, would you just shut up?
Yeah.
It's red zone, bro. And the whole family knows my red zone. Like, don't ask questions to dad after 9 o'clock. And he's just talking and talking. And I was like, I was there, man. I was so close to being like, bro, cut a fella a break. I'm tired. I'm done. I'm checked out. And it hit me. Like I realized he was starting to unpack his day with me in this moment. And I had to remind myself of something that I learned through marriage is one of the things that Bree and I do, and I know you guys have done this as well, is are you looking for a solution or do you just need me to listen?
Yep.
He just needed me to listen.
Yep.
And if I can listen, like I've got 2 ears, I can sit there. And the more I sat there, man, the more he just started to open up. And next thing you know, I found myself engaging with him, of asking him more questions about the things that he was sharing with me, the thoughts he was having, what was going on in his mind, what he was wrestling with. And man, if I, like in my old self, I would have shut that down in a second. And that's really like when we talk about masculinity, and I know you've got a huge heart for men, it's oftentimes at that age where things start to get shut down and they close off. They're like, if dad's not going to listen to me, why would anybody else listen to me? Then they start to become rebellious and go down the path that you and I went down of like, dude, my dad wasn't even available to listen to me in these moments. So you know what? I found a different way. I got his attention by getting into trouble. I got their attention by doing this. So I just share that because I think like I've been in those seasons of where you're at as well. And I know you've got 2 girls. I've got 2 girls and a boy. They're different. All 3 kids are different. Our 27-year-old is very similar she was 18 when we went through our worst season, man.
Yeah.
Like we missed out on 18 years of raising her the right way. And still today, man, it's more challenging to parent at that age because I mean, she's an adult.
Yeah. I think you remember the 3-wheelers and motorcycles we used to ride as a kid that had that reserve
Oh
gap?
yeah.
on, off, and then reserve.
Yeah, when that was time to turn around and head home. You were out of
roll.
gas almost.
But as it just happened the other night, and April, this is one thing. April called me out. Like I was cashed. Like 10 o'clock is our bed. Like if I'm not getting close to sleep by 10, that's a problem. And it was about 10:05, 10:15. I'm like, hey, I'm done. April took our dog to sleep with one of the two with Morgan. And I was almost asleep. She goes, did you talk to Morgan before bed? I'm like, I'm almost asleep here. And then I thought, no, let's get the reserve. Like I turned the gas thing over to reserve, and it was simple. 2 minutes, walk in there. Hey, Morgan, I didn't come to say goodnight to you. I had talked to her, but it was just like, I need to go. Like, okay, stop. You'll be able to fall asleep. Get the reserve button. Go spend 90 seconds. 90 seconds. Tell her goodnight and let her know I love her before she goes to sleep, and then come back to bed. When April called me out, I'm like, you're right. This is stupid. Why am I being so selfish where it's just, if I can spare 90 seconds, come on, get out of bed, walk over there. It's 10 feet away. And so, yeah, I think about that. Like we need to be aware of those zones, green, yellow, red. And my red happens about 5 in the afternoon sometimes. Like I need to go, okay, I still have a reserve. That'll get me home. That'll get me the extra mile home.
Yep. Cool. As we're wrapping up here, Matt, what would you say are some of the warning signs that men should be looking for if their life needs to head down a different path, man? If there's some red flags or even yellow flags popping up, what would be some of those indicators to say, hey man, I've been here before and the path that you're headed on probably isn't going to result in something that you desire?
I think, of course, I kind of look at this from a mental health perspective, right? Depression often comes out in men. Can look like anger. And so, okay, what's your fuse like? Are you a little more irritable? Are you jumpy when there's no reason to be, like more than normal? Like evaluate those things. Try to ask yourself questions. Why is this happening? Why are these little things creating irritability? Oh, you're not getting in the word every day. Oh, your physical fitness is off. Like there can be little things that lead up to that. But then if all those things are in line and you're still that way, okay, now we've got maybe a different issue, a bigger issue we need to look at. So I would say, yeah, from like, I look at it really 3 different categories, and I kind of alluded to it. Faith first. What's your relationship look like with the Lord? If there is not one, well, maybe we need to talk. Let's find somebody to talk to about that. But if you're a follower of Christ, what's that relationship like? Have you had many discussions with God lately? Are you reading the Bible? If you and I don't have a conversation for a year, KB, we can probably pick up pretty quick where we left off, but I'm not going to know what's going on in your life. You're not going to know what's going on in my life. Same thing. God wants a relationship with us, right? And it can be that simple. So I think just evaluating, what's my faith look like? What's my faith life look like? Is my physical fitness good to go? As we get older, I think we need to pay more attention to that so we can be here longer for our wives and our kids. And then, yeah, just looking at, probably that, am I more anxious than normal? Is something changing, something different? And I love how we approach things, even at church, like when seasons change, meaning it's kind of a new year. Does my schedule need to change based off different demands and requirements? But yeah, or even patterns, are things distracting me? Am I looking at things differently? What music am I listening to? Is that changing? Just all these little things that we may not think of over time, that could be indicators of, hey, we've got a flashing yellow here. We may need to pay attention to that before it becomes a red and we're running a red light and we crash and burn.
Yeah, that's so good. When we think about what you just described, the framework that I referenced earlier, the vital framework, which is again, vision, initiative, your tribe, and then armor and legacy is what vital stands for. Maybe just talk for a few minutes about the importance of just being surrounded by the right group of guys, the right group of people to help you on this journey, and the importance of that.
Yeah. I mean, without having well, not even in that season, but with any season of life, if I don't have a group of people around me, just other men that I trust to, if I can bring something to you, and you do, I mean, you do such a great job of this, KB. There's been times where I'll say, hey, April and I are having a little sticking point, and And I don't want to be humble in those moments. And you actually said, you have to figure that this is you, figure it out, get on your knees, pray about what you need to do, and go back humbly and talk to April and apologize, ask for forgiveness. If we don't have people in our lives as men, our egos can get way out of control really quick, and it will impact every other area. So I just think being surrounded on a consistent, continual basis, and that we have busy lives. It doesn't mean we're always hanging out together, but just knowing that somebody you can send a text to or a call, and they will give it to you straight. And it may not be something you want to hear. Because oftentimes, Kevin, how many times in your past did you have a guy say, "Oh yeah, your wife's a real B. I can't believe she would do that." That's not the right answer. Let's just be honest. Even if she is acting that way, it's our responsibility to go back and say, "Help me understand. Forgive me for this." So it comes back to humility, but we have to have men. We have to have men around us that will call us out on our junk, and then give us the next action step. Because the great thing is, KB, in those moments when I text you, you have no emotion tied to it. I know you love me. I know you love April, but you're not in this thing that we're maybe arguing about. So you can look at it and go, you're not seeing it. You're not seeing it because you're not in it. You're above it. So to have other men be able to point things out because there's no emotion involved. Yeah, they want the best for you, but they can see above the garbage and point out, well, have you considered this might be the actual thing that's leading to what you're arguing about?
Yep.
Without that, yeah, we're not designed to be do life alone and be isolated. We're not.
Yeah.
But I think it's important too. It's fun then to kind of extend the question. There are people in our lives that don't realize that's what they need and want until they may get it from us and go, "Oh my gosh, that's phenomenal." Like, that's phenomenal advice. All I'm hearing is how awful my wife is. And you just told me that's not the problem. You're the problem. You need to go back to your wife and apologize.
Yeah.
So I think that's another part of discipleship and really spreading the gospel is I'm going to call you out. If you've asked me I've had friends come to me and say, "Hey, I need help. I'm struggling with this." I'm like, I don't think it's your wife issue. I think it's a you issue. And they'll kind of respond or text or call like, "What do you mean?" Like, well, so I think there's, like two components. We're called to continue to go out and reach people and share the gospel. And I think that's part of it. Just those practical handles that you and I now know that we didn't know before.
Yep. Yep. And the journey to get there, man, I think for everybody to hear this is it doesn't happen overnight.
No,
it doesn't happen overnight. The level of leader that you are today didn't happen overnight. It took promotions. It took failing. It took some having a coach, having a boss, having a peer, having a coworker, having a teammate, somebody say to you, "Hey, I think you can get better at this." And we're so coachable in every area of our life, but the one that matters the most, and that's our marriage. And I think that for many of us, it's because we didn't see a great marriage growing up. It might've been good, but it wasn't godly. It wasn't great for a lot of us, for most of us, not everybody. And praise the Lord if you've had that, man. Like that's our desire now for our kids to see that. But many of us didn't grow up with that. Then we start becoming a part of a team. We start becoming part of a workplace, an entrepreneur. Then all of a sudden we find ourselves in isolation. And I know for me, man, it was in those seasons where the bottle became something that I found as my only way to cope through it. Made a lot of really dumb decisions during those times. Once we bring something else in that we shouldn't, it's funny how it cascades, or there's this ripple effect into multiple other bad decisions that I made along the way. And my biggest fear of becoming a Christian, you and I have spoken about this, was I was afraid I was going to lose all of my people.
Yeah.
I was terrified of it. It was my biggest fear. I'm going to lose all of my friends. I'm going to lose everything I've built. And I had no idea that God was going to bring guys like you around me. And my goodness, I look at my circle of people that I allow into my life now. And it's like, man, I'll go to battle with any of these guys.
Yeah.
And we do at times, man. We gotta link arms and say, I can't do this alone, man. I'm struggling in my marriage right now too. And here I am, a marriage coach, and I can reach out to you and be like, "Bro, I'm struggling too with this right now. Pray for me." And you'll give me that same godly advice that I need to hear in those moments to say, man, like, dude, you're human. Like, this is what happens.
Yeah.
So good. Matt, quick question. 3 of them. Number 1, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Oh, yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna say Christmas Story. Like, you can't go wrong with the Red Ryder BB gun.
So good. So good. Favorite book that you read in 2025?
Whoa. Where is it at? Why is the title escaping me, KB? I don't have it in front of me.
We'll put it in the comments if you can't come up with it.
Sure.
We'll put it in the comments. And then the last question is, what would you say to a man that's trying to make a decision to put his life back on the right path today?
If you don't know, if you haven't surrendered your life to the Lord, step numero uno.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean everything changes for the better overnight. You will have a lot more peace in what's happening, but knowing that, like, there's still going to be challenges, still going to be things that we face because we're living in a sinful world. But I would say that's step numero uno, and then get surrounded by people that will tell you the truth, and remain in that community. We're never done. We're never done until we're face to face with our Creator. And so I think that's a common mistake, Kevin, is, oh no, I've been doing this for a couple of years, I'm good. No, you're not. You're still human. You still have issues. There's a sinful world and we're a part of it. So continue to stay disciplined and consistent with your walk with the Lord. And man, your life will never, ever, ever look the same.
So good. Matt, thanks so much for joining me, man. This has been awesome. And super grateful for you and your friendship, man, your leadership, the way that you care for people is just unbelievable, man. I know I'm a better person because I've got you in my life, and I'm super grateful for that. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Glory to God. Love you, bro.
Yep. Marriage is a mirror. What you see isn't there to shame you. It's there to shape. If this conversation helped you to see more clearly, please follow the show. Also, leave a review. It would mean the world to us. You can also share it with someone else who needs to see the reflection. This is the Marriage is a Mirror podcast, powered by Reverence Restored. We'll see you next time.